Good evening, everyone. It is wonderful to have so many of you who have registered for this workshop series. We've had over 200 women who have registered, so that is super exciting. Hope you had a really nice long weekend. I would love it if you are watching this, if you could just comment in the comments box below that you can see me and that you can hear me, because I've done uh, events like this before when there hasn't been any sound or you haven't been able to see me. So I just love, just give me a heads up, and then I can be reassured that all is good. So I just wanted to share with you, tonight is actually yeah, cool. Thanks, Jen. So tonight is actually my 20th wedding anniversary, and you might be thinking, why am I doing a workshop when it's our 20th wedding anniversary? So Kent and I have this thing that we organise our anniversary celebrations every alternate year. So he's on evens and I'm on odds. And so it's always a surprise. So I said to him, do I need to keep tonight clear? And because I know that he's organised something for the weekend, and he said, no, absolutely, no, you're good, because trying to squeeze this in between like the holidays, the long weekends, it was just really hard to find just this like three-day window. And so that's why I am doing it tonight, because I know that he has booked me in for something in the weekend. I don't know where we're going, what we're doing, but we're heading away doing something on Saturday afternoon for the evening, and then we're back Sunday afternoon. So that's very exciting. So that's why I am showing up tonight on my anniversary. I did have a cooked yummy dinner tonight, and we had a little bit of a celebration. So welcome to you all for being here. I would love you to type in the chat box. Have you been on any of my workshops before? Because I've done some previously, or is this the first one that you've been on? And also just type never fasted, done a little, or you're comfortable, because I know that there are varying different levels of fasting that are in the group. I just want to reassure you, this is not a 3-day fast. This is a 3-day workshop series educational session. So it's more about, you may want to do some fasting, you may want to extend your breakfast out a little bit, but this is more around the education of the why is fasting so beneficial for the menopausal woman, how to actually get started. I want to teach you about insulin resistance, about different energy systems, so that I found, like, when I had the knowledge, when I had the science, I had the why behind it, it was so much easier to do it. So never farted, yes, been before, never done. First workshop, tried a couple of times. Fasting, never fasting. So yeah, we've got a lot of variation. So January is actually the best time to be making some health changes. If you can make changes in the first part of the year, like January, February, then you're more likely to carry it on. And that's why I wanted to do it more towards the end, to let the holidays, finish, so that you're kind of over the celebrations and you're ready to do a little bit of recalibrate. I find that the start of January is actually too early for me. Actually, I'm still on holiday. I need a holiday. And this is like that reset that you need. Have you got your companion guide? I sent that out in the email, so hopefully you have downloaded that. There's areas for you to just track how you're feeling, because if you do want to extend your fast, then that is a really good way to track your moods, track your energy levels, just track your fasting times if that's what you want to do. Right, so what we are going to start off with, I want to talk about our two different energy systems. And this really fascinated me when I first learned it. So we have got two energy systems. We've got our glucose energy system, and we've got our fat burning energy system. And they both, I've got notes here, so that's what I'm referring to, because I cannot rely on my memory. We use, in the glucose energy system, we use food, glucose as our fuel source, in the fat burning, we use fat as our fuel source. So if you are never stopping food coming into your body will never switch over into the fat burning mode. Okay, and so often we just are constantly eating all the time, and so you may have grown, when years ago it was like 3 meals a day with snacks, and that's what sped up your metabolism. That's what we needed. Breakfast was the most important meal of the day. Do you know that was framed from Kellogg's, a cereal brand of theirs? It was a marketing strategy and is absolutely stuck. There is no science behind breakfast being the first meal of the day, but that's what we were told, and so that's what I believed. And it wasn't until I looked into the research and the science behind fasting, I was like, actually, that is phenomenal. I'm going to start practicing it myself. And then when I hit perimenopause, started to get the symptoms, wasn't prepared to accept it as status quo, discovered the work of Dr. Mindy Powell's, devoured her work for a couple of years, then discovered that she does a Fast Like a Girl certification, did that, loved it, and that's where I am. That's why I'm where I am today, and running this workshop series. So I'm not claiming that fasting is the answer to all of your menopausal problems or challenges. Fasting is a tool. We need to have a toolbox of tools that we can pull out when we need it. Fasting is one of those tools, and when done correctly, then it absolutely works. And that's what I want to share with you tonight, is how, or over the series, is how you can actually get started. So we've got our two different energy systems. So when we stop food coming in, within 10 to 12, 14 hours, your body will switch over into burning fat as your fuel source. And that process is called ketosis. When you get into ketosis, your body is burning fat and producing a byproduct called a ketone, which goes up into your brain. When your body is burning ketones, it goes up into your brain. It turns the hunger hormone off, and it switches back on your brain power. Now, what happens during menopause and perimenopause? There are three main sex hormones are either on a rapid roller coaster if you're in perimenopause, and then as you hit menopause, then they start to heavily decline. Now, so the three of them: estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. Estrogen is responsible for our memory. It's responsible for our feeling good. It's our socializing hormone. It's when we want to get out and we want to, be around people. It is also responsible for the way that we process glucose in our body and the amount of insulin that is released into your body. With the decline of estrogen, our bodies no longer can process glucose as effectively as it used to be able to. So that's why we notice the weight gain, especially around the belly, because we can't process. We become less insulin sensitive and we become more insulin resistant. Now, it took me years ago, I just could not get my head around the difference. But what it means is that we eat food, glucose is released into the bloodstream. The body releases insulin to take the glucose from the blood and transfer it into your cells, right? When there's too much glucose, then too much insulin is released, and so therefore it can't get into the cells. So then therefore the insulin has to be stored at other places in the body, and often it's done in the muscles or the fat or the in your tissues. But the main place that it will store, especially in the menopausal body, is in the fat cells, and not mainly, but the first place is around the belly. So that's why it's what used to work and what you used to be able to eat before this midlife stage, you no longer can eat, and you're noticing that you're just looking at food and you're putting on weight. That's because our body has become more insulin resistant than insulin sensitive. So what fasting does is it makes your body more receptive to your blood sugar's more stable, so therefore you're having less glucose highs and lows. Now we're going to talk about that, about the food side, a little bit more tomorrow. I mean, there is so much that I could share with you, but okay, so I just need to keep on and just making sure that all of a sudden the sound doesn't go off. So I just want to share with you the basics so that you understand why fasting is a really powerful tool. So when you take food out of the equation, your blood sugars are going to be more stable, and therefore you're going to be more insulin sensitive. And your body will tap into the fat stores as your fuel source rather than losing the glucose from your food. So does that make sense? I'd just love to know if that makes sense. With the loss of, just type it in the chat box, with the loss of progesterone, so progesterone is our calming hormone. It's where we feel, if we've got the loss of progesterone, we can feel more anxiety, we don't sleep, we really overthink things, and we ruminate on ideas or thoughts that normally we would just let go. And we can be irritated. And so that is, if you are feeling these symptoms, it's not that you're losing your mind. This is a hormonal change in the body, and it's actually real. Estrogen is also connected to hot flushes, night sweats, as I said, your memory, holding on to thoughts. I mean, a friend of mine said to me tonight, I had got our nice dinner set out, and that I bought over, like when I was overseas, like 30 years ago, and she goes, I remember when you bought that dinner set. I was like, oh my goodness, that's insane. So the benefits of accessing fat burning, healing, like healing of the body, and the healing of the cells is incredible. I'll go through more into detail on that tomorrow. Brain clarity, weight loss, slowing of the aging, and hormonal support, and then that insulin. Those are just a few of the insulin sensitivity. So it is incredible what happens to the body when you are in a fasted state. And the longer that you fast, the more healing that happens. And I can see someone say, would this be the same for men? Men, I will talk about this tomorrow, and why we do need to fast differently to men, because they have got a different hormonal profile. Okay, so the 5 foundations of intermittent fasting. These aren't the only 5. This is just 5 that I have identified in terms of where to get started, and just like principles that you need to consider. So the first is your fasting window. So you need to decide, when does it suit you for your fasting window? Most people find it easier to take out an evening, if you are going for a longer fast, taking out taking out breakfast rather than the evening meal, because the evening meal is the social time with your family. What we don't want to do is we don't want to take away that social time, because that is when you get your oxytocin. When estrogen is lost, we also lose oxytocin. And so that's when we can feel, down. We can feel like we're the only ones that are dealing with the issues or the challenges that we've got. So we need to work really hard on getting doses of oxytocin. And having a social, having dinner, sitting down and having dinner with your family is often, that is your oxytocin. The thing is that eating in the daylight hours is more effective. Your body can process your food more effectively in daylight hours than it can do at nighttime. So it's easy for us in the summer when we've got longer daylight hours. It's harder in the winter. And so I just want you to take that into consideration. If you're really struggling to lose weight, then consider condensing your eating hours into the daylight hours, because that has a huge impact in how your body processes your food. Okay, so you want to choose your fasting window, and as I just said, most people find it easier to push out breakfast. So you might just over the next couple of days push your breakfast out by 30 or 60 minutes, 30 to an hour. If you wake up and you're starving, just trust me, that feeling does pass. And it doesn't matter if you're a little bit hungry. You're not going to die and you're not going to keel over and faint. Unless you've got some underlying issues going on that you actually need to eat, then obviously you're going to eat. But sometimes feeling uncomfortable gives you that confidence that you can actually do it. So I want you to just challenge yourself, because this used to be me. I used to wake up in the morning and I would have to eat straight away, and I would see stars if I didn't eat. So I was like, there's no way I can fast. But it wasn't until I learned the research and I understood what was going on in the body that I was like, okay, I'm just going to give this a go. And eventually I pushed out, and I've done a 3-day fast. If you'd asked me a couple of years ago if I'd ever do a 3-day, never in my living daylights would I be able to do that. So it is possible. So you might just want to start by pushing it out by 30 to 60 minutes if you want to experiment with a little bit of fasting. And if you're used to 15 to 17 hours, then you might want to go a little bit further. I don't want anyone to be going over the 17 hours, because that is, or like 17, 18 is okay. I don't want anyone going into a 24-hour fast for the first time during this workshop, because there are kind of strategies that you need to take into account, and that's like you need to be a little bit more strategic. Okay, and so you might just push it out for a couple of days, a week, and then you can just slowly extend. Breaking your fast, then you want to be prioritizing on having some protein, having some healthy fat. So you might have some avocado, you might have something that I really love to break my fast with is avocado, kimchi or sauerkraut, and some hemp seeds. That's if I'm doing a bit of a longer fast, like if I'm going to midday. If I am just doing like a 12 to 14, then I will just have my normal breakfast. But again, you want to be having protein, healthy fats, and some sort of fiber in there, because stabilizing your blood sugars is absolutely key. Okay, so in the companion guide, there were 3 food groups that I talked about. These are key, and it's about cleaning up your kitchen and cleaning up it is your environment that is really important. So the first one is removing inflammatory oils. So that's your canola oil, your sorry, I could just see messages coming through here. Your canola oil, your vegetable oil, those highly processed oils, grapeseed, sunflower, cold pressed sesame oil is okay. Your good oils are so MCT oil is okay, coconut oil, olive oil, flaxseed, avocado oil. Those are kind of like the main ones that you want to focus on, because the others are so inflammatory that they cause inflammation in the body. So really focus on just using a clean oil. The second is processed foods, so like your processed flours, pastas, processed products that you buy from the supermarket, chips, packet food, all of those types of things. And that might be crackers, pastas. I'd even say even rice isn't processed, but it's still high glycemic, so it's going to elevate your blood sugars. Takeaways, Uber Eats, those types of things. So eating as clean and whole foods as possible is really beneficial for the body. And so sugars, refined carbs and sugars, yeah. And then the third is your the toxins, what you're putting on your skin, what you are cleaning your house with, what you are using on like deodorants, perfumes, hair care, skin care, your cleaning products, your soaps, your deodorants I've mentioned, dishwashing, washing machine, dishwashing, your dishwasher as well as your sink. So those are the things that you need clean, because they all cause inflammation in the body. And that is literally, if I'm working one-on-one or the girls with my membership, then that is the first place that I get them to start. So those are cleaning up your environment and your kitchen first is really important. What can you drink in a fasting window? So you can drink water, mineral water, black coffee, and as a good quality coffee is recommended, black tea, herbal teas. Make sure your teas do not have stevia or any sort of sugar added to them. You want to add in electrolytes and minerals if you're going into a longer fast. That's well minerals we're actually very depleted and normally women are, and so supplementing with minerals is recommended. But I use electrolytes when I'm going into a longer fast, so not necessarily for this workshop. Apple cider vinegar you can have in water. Very beneficial for the microbiome, also very beneficial for stabilizing your blood sugars. So I will talk about that as well in the coming up workshops. Have plenty of liquids and always have water with you. And the last principle that I feel is really important is to be flexible. There is no failed fast. Some days you will find fasting easy, and then other days you'll find it more difficult. What I won't have time to delve into is there is what Dr. Mindy has created is a 30-day fasting reset for women who are cycling, who still have their cycle, and it's strategic in terms of when the times throughout your period, focusing on your hormones, when it's ideal to go into a longer fast or a shorter fast, or when you're not fasting, to honor the different hormones. I just want to let you know that if you want to dive deeper into this work, then I will be offering you a solution at the end of it that may interest you. So that gives you more information about how you can do it for your, if you are cycling or if you're postmenopausal, but getting into those specific details. Okay, so Sarah's just asked what type of rice. Your black rice or your wild rice is definitely the better option. So yeah, if you can go into those. Quinoa's still, really good because it's it's a whole food, so that's really good. Rather than, Veronica's just asked. Hemp oil, yes, Karen, that's a good one. Yeah. I wouldn't cook with hemp oil just because it's so expensive, but really good to have as drops under your tongue if that's the way that you do it. Right, so who shouldn't fast? For those of you who, I'm gathering there's probably not anyone pregnant, but if you've got women in your life who are pregnant or trying to conceive or are breastfeeding, then it's not an ideal time for you to be fasting. If you're breastfeeding, it's okay if you don't go over 17 hours. So you just keep it to around the 15 to 16 hour mark, because you don't want to go into autophagy when your body is dumping the toxins, because that goes into your breast milk. So I've talked about that. If you've got an eating disorder, then I would definitely recommend that you are working with your health professional, and so getting that support so that they are there beside you. If you've got adrenal fatigue, then you can fast. You just need to take it very slowly and you just also working with your health professional as well. The same with if you have got a thyroid issue. Fasting is very effective can be very effective for the thyroid, but there is a specific number of calories that you need to be eating to support your thyroid. Okay, so just you need to be aware of that. And if you've got adrenal fatigue, don't just go fast. Then you just want to take it slowly, and being too aggressive can definitely worsen the fatigue. And the last time, if fasting stops working, if it's backfiring on you. So if you've been fasting for a while and you're no longer getting the results, you can fast too long and you can fast too much. And that's why it's so important to vary your fasting lengths. And if you are a cycling woman, then you're going to do that around your cycle. And if you're a perimenopausal woman, you can do it around the moon cycle. And you can be a little bit more lenient if you are a postmenopausal woman. Your body thrives on flexibility, not 24/7 burning fat. So that's where Dr. Mindy discovered that when people were doing the 1 meal a day fast, and they were getting great results, and then all of a sudden they stopped getting the results, it's because they were fasting too long. And when she taught them how to do the fasting cycle, then that's when you are honoring the different hormones of your body. Okay, so as we finish up, don't aim for perfection. Just build confidence. There is no rush. I really want to teach you a fasting lifestyle that you can do for life. Fasting works in so incredibly well if you go on holiday, or if you go on holiday and you don't fast and then you come back and you get into your fasting rhythm. It is so effective to work around your social occasions, and we'll talk more about that. Normalize hunger. I've already talked about that. Hunger is absolutely normal and it will come, but it will pass. And just drink lots of fluids. And it's about experimenting and listening to your body. So we have talked about the five foundations. We've talked about insulin resistance and insulin sensitivity. We've talked about the two different energy systems, the fat burning energy system and the glucose energy system. And if you don't stop food coming into the body, then you are never going to switch over into the fat burning energy system. And often, if you can't go 8 to 12 hours without food, then it probably indicates that you are insulin resistant. And the worse that gets, the harder it's going to be for you to metabolically switch. So if you get cravings, if you can't go, you want to snack all the time, you're really low on energy, then insulin resistance is knocking on your door. So that's why fasting is so fantastic, because it teaches your body to metabolically switch, and you become less reliant on food and more reliant on the natural healing and the ketones that your body naturally burns. I used to never go out of the house without having snacks, without knowing where my next food was coming from. My husband would say, we need to feed you because you get so hangry. Now I couldn't give a damn if I don't have access to food. It is so freeing. So that's what I want for you. Okay. So you are just going to, if you want to just push out your breakfast, then push it out by 30 to 60 minutes in the morning. And tonight I have got a post going out in the Facebook group to ask you what your best insights are from tonight's session. I would love you to comment on that. I love reading the comments. And tomorrow it's all about the signs of it working and hunger hacks. So I've got 4 key tips on how to make fasting easier, and these are really, really essential. And they will, if you can implement these into your fasting lifestyle and when you're in your eating window, then they're going to be a game changer. signs to look out for to know when it's working, and the benefits of fasting for the different fasting lengths, and then why we need to fast differently for against beside men, so why we can't do it the same. So we've just hit 30 minutes. That was longer than I intentionally initially wanted it to be, but that's okay. I will look forward to seeing you tomorrow at 12:30. And if you can't join me live, there will be a replay, but it won't be as long as tonight because we just had some things that we needed to lay down. So make sure you share your biggest takeaway on the Facebook post tonight. Thanks so much, and I will look forward to seeing you tomorrow. All right, see ya.